This episode is going to be historic and monumental. And historic, not historical. That would be incorrect. It's going to be historic. In addition to being monumental, the reason it's historic is for three reasons. One, as far as I can remember, and maybe some of you eagle-eyed, long-time, loyal viewers can tell me, this might be the first time ever that I've worn the shirt, that would be the Bunyans, that matches the band, which would also be the Bunyans. I'm wearing a Bunyans shirt. That was intentional today. They deserve the publicity. If I talk about Kiss or Metallica or Iron Maiden or Slayer, they don't need me to wear their shirt too. But the Bunyans deserve that. They're a local indie band. So that's the first time. And I don't know if that's intentional that I don't wear the other band's shirts when I talk about their records. I'm not sure. But I did choose to wear a Bunyans shirt today to talk about the Bunyans. Beefcake, as you can see in the video title down below. The other reason, it's so stupid, the other reason this is going to be historic is because I don't have the physical disc. Maybe some of you are going to be upset that I'm showing the piece of plastic physical disc for the Bunyans Beefcake. That's because, as far as I know, it doesn't exist. And the reason it doesn't exist, or if it does exist, I don't have it. This album just came out today. That's why I'm doing this video. That's why I want to talk about this album, because it came out today and it's on my mind, and I listened to it twice, as a matter of fact, and it's on my mind. The third and final reason why this is going to be historic is because I guess in replacement or in lieu of, which I think is French, in lieu of the disc, what I've got is, since this is new and I'm not familiar with it as I would be with Skid Row or some other albums that I've talked about, I've got notes here. I listened to this album a couple of times. I took a few notes. These are so stupid, these notes. But I need something to remind me, because these songs are mostly fresh. I'll get to that in a few minutes when I talk about this band, the Bunyans. I'll put that down. So as I mentioned, this album came out today, Beefcake. It's March 24th. It was released today. This was a lot of these. No, I'll start with my history with the Bunyans. No, I'm gonna change my mind again. I'm gonna start with, they're playing a concert tomorrow, like a record release party, and they're playing. I don't know if they're gonna play the full album, but they're playing a concert at Rabioso in Mexico City, which is one of my favorite venues. I love it there. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go or be able to go or not, because as some of you may know, I've had some dog troubles recently. I've got these two dogs that were mangled and really torn apart the other day, and I kind of have to take care of them and a couple of other things too. My landlord is supposed to come tomorrow with the new contract for me to sign, which shouldn't be a reason for me to change my plans. And also, just generally speaking, I tried to see the Bunyans, maybe this was in January, I think it was. They were supposed to do a concert at a park, a skate park in Mexico City. Went there, and the concert didn't happen. It had been, the plug had been pulled. The city, it's Mexico City mayor, something happened, but it was canceled at the last minute. I didn't even know. I went with Lily. We went there. We were looking. It was like in a movie, like, you know, when John Travolta walks in to the room and he's looking around. We were like that at the concert. We were, hey, where's the concert? We were at this park, and then specifically a skate park, and we were looking around saying, hey, where's the concert? And it had been canceled, and that happens far too often to me in Mexico. I mentioned when I talked about the Skid Row album the other day, that there's just been a rash. Tomorrow was supposed to be The Obsessed, which was canceled. It's Paul Di'Anno, which is in place of The Obsessed, because it was double booked at the same venue. But Paul Di'Anno was canceled in Cuernavaca. Pretty Boy Floyd was canceled last week. And especially with these local shows, local bands, I've been burned way too many times that they get canceled. I'm tired of it. They start too late. They're supposed to start at 8 o'clock. They start at 10:30. And I don't mind if they start late, but it really bugs the shit out of me when they say it's going to start at whatever time, or doors are going to open at a certain time and then they open hours later. And then it just goes on forever. If it's going to start at 10 o'clock, I don't care. Tell me, and I can plan my day around that. But don't tell me doors open at 7 and then the doors open at 8:30. I've been burned by that, and I get tired of that. And it costs me a lot of money and a lot of time, and I miss work because I love going to concerts and I spend all this money and time. I'm getting off topic, I know, but that's a small reason why. But I think this concert should go ahead as planned tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go or not. I'm going to have to see, maybe later today or tomorrow. I have to, and also because Saturday is a bad night for me. I can't drive to Mexico City because of the pollution laws. My car can't go there. So if I went there, it's too late to take a bus. Going to take a bus there would be okay, and I would go to El Chopo first. But taking a bus back, it's too late. The last bus leaves at like 11 o'clock or something to come back to Cuernavaca, where I live. Man, I'm getting off topic. And so I would have to stay in a hotel, which is an extra cost, obviously. And then I come home tomorrow, and again, the dogs are here, and I need to look after the dogs. So that's inconvenient at the best of times, although sometimes I like it. Anyway, I'll talk about the Bunyans, my history with the Bunyans. They're from Mexico City. It's 4 people. I guess the core is 3. It's Jorge Cerilla He's the singer. He also plays guitar and sometimes plays drums. I'll explain that. Larry DeSantis from the Rising Sun is the other guitarist. I love the Rising Sun. I think I've seen them live close to 24 times. I have a Rising Sun tattoo somewhere. Where is it? Wrong leg. Rising Sun tattoo. Rising Sun lyrics there. Handwritten by Larry DeSantis from the Rising Sun. So he plays guitar. He sings in Rising Sun. He plays guitar in Bunyans. Michelle Dubois, who holds it down playing bass for the Bunyans. And a rotating lineup of drummers. Their original drummer was Alonzo, who was I liked him. I thought maybe just because, as I've mentioned many times, your first introduction to a band or to an album, you have a real a bonding or an association with that. But he's been gone for a couple of years now, and they've I think had a hard time finding drummers. At some shows I've seen, Jorge is playing drums and singing, which I don't really like. I think that's kind of a weak look visually. What's my cat doing? It's visually a weak look seeing a singer drummer. There are a few exceptions. I prefer seeing Jorge out front with a guitar. So now their drummer is Jorge played drums on this album. So it was the 3 of them, Jorge, Michelle, and DeSantis. But their current drummer, as far as I know, live now, is a guy called Daniel. I'm not sure of his last name, but it was funny. I met him. I saw a stoner about Brant Bjork from Caius and Fu Manchu and his newish band called Stoner. They were playing in Mexico City. I think that must have been about a year and a half ago. And I went to it, and this guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, are you Dan, or are you Dan Bowski or something?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, I know you from YouTube." And I said, "Oh, cool." And I asked, like, "Who are you?" Not like, "Who the fuck are you? Who are you, lowly peasant, to be talking to me and approaching me?" But I was like genuinely, I said, "Oh, who are you? Or how did you see my videos?" And he said he was the new drummer for the Bunyans, and he had gone on YouTube looking for videos of their older songs, so he could, to help him learn them and practice them. And all the results he found were videos that I've taken of the Bunyans. I think I've seen the Bunyans live at least 3 or 4 times, maybe as many as 5 or 6 times, including here in Cuernavaca. It's always a thrill for me when a band can play in Cuernavaca. So I really like the Bunyans. A lot of these songs are, I guess, a couple of years old. I know them by when I listen to it, I think I remember that song. And I don't know if they've changed the titles of them. Now, even though, and this is their debut album, it's their first one. Debut means first, if you didn't know that. I think that's also French, just like in lieu of. And now they do have some other singles. I would say one of my favorite songs of the last X number of years, and Lily loves it too. We used to listen to this song obsessively and dance around the house listening to it. Was Summerdale Avenue, which was an ode to John Wayne Gacy, maybe? I'm not sure. Oh man, I can't tell you how much I love that song. That was a great single, which we also had I Dreamed I Was a Vegetable, was the B-side of that. They had Rum Ham was a single. The Soul Deputy of Soul. What else did they have? They do have some other songs that were on, I think, an EP that was recorded live in a studio, America. and some other stuff. But this is their first true full album. As far as I know, a CD or physical copies don't exist. Unless maybe when they play hopefully when they play the show tomorrow, if there are physical CDs, I guess they'll be for sale. I have a feeling they're probably not physical CDs, but that's okay. And I have 3 Bunyans shirts, and they're all different. I have this one, I have a Bunyans death metal black shirt, and I have a very cool blue Bunyans shirt. Have I stooped to that level? Have I sank? We hit the bottom of the barrel that I'm talking about what t-shirts I own. So that's it with the Bunyans. No, that's not it. I'm going to talk more. I think most of you, not too many people watch these videos, but thank you if you do. If you like, I did Skid Row earlier this week, and I did Aerosmith, and I've done, who else have I done? I can't even remember. Badlands. If you like the type of music that I normally like, you're probably not going to like the Bunyans, but I like the Bunyans, and that's all that counts. They're kind of a garage, psychedelic. They're not a metal band for sure, which I normally like. That's their only fault, I guess, that they're not a metal band, because every band should be a metal band. But yeah, a garage psych, kind of a fun. They have kind of funny lyrics, and this album was recorded at. Oh, and there's also a B-side for on the album is called Beefcake. They released the single a week or two ago, and there was a B-side to that called Dr. Ben Gay, which is on the B-side of we call it B-sides, even though there's not actual sides. I lost my train of thought, damn it. Anyway, so that's a brief description of the Bunyans music. They're a very fun band. So I'll talk about it now. I'll go to the notes. Normally I would show the round piece of plastic, or the square piece of plastic with the round piece of plastic inside. Now I'm going to show you I'm not going to show you my notes. I'm going to read from the notes. Because I just listened to this album for the first time. There are 13 tracks, and I think it's a fairly, if you knew what the album looked like, it's a guy that's ripped. It looks exactly like me. It's like they just cut off the head and waist down and just put the torso. It's like, I swear it's my torso, but it's actually a painting by Ian Pascal. Maybe you know who he is. So imagine that I'm showing that to the camera now. It's 13 tracks, and their songs are pretty short. I think most songs are around 3 minutes, somewhere around there. I've never talked about album length before, but there you go. The first song is called 555, and the first thing that bugs me about this album is I don't know what the hell 555 is, and things like that annoy me. I need to know what 555 is. I'll have to find out. And I won't report back, but at least I will know what 555 represents. I guess it's maybe like Soundgarden had 333, which I guess was half of 666, and Striper did 777, so maybe 555 is the anti-666. And Jorge, the singer, he has kind of two voices. He has I thought his when I first heard them, sometimes he uses this rough voice like this. Kind of sounds like a cross between Iggy Pop, if you remember Iggy Pop doing the voice intro to Black Sunshine by White Zombie. For me, it's kind of a mix like that, a mix between Iggy Pop and Randy Macho Man Savage, which is kind of ironic that it's a Macho Man, because I think this album, especially the title track Beefcake and maybe Male Bonding, and another track called Grow Your Muscles, is maybe the anti-macho theme that they're going for. So and then Jorge also has like a cleaner voice. This one, 555, I think it's kind of somewhere in the middle. It's goes a little bit rough at the end. He says something like something about suicide. No time for suicide. What does he say? The very last couple of lines of the song, he drops down like this and has that voice. And I think his voice is great. Lily and I were talking about the Bunyans a couple of weeks ago, and he's not a Freddie Mercury, Chris Cornell like classic singer. His voice though is perfect. I think I like his voice, but it's like Jello Biafra. He doesn't sound like Jello Biafra, but just the voice. I can't imagine anybody else singing for the Bunyans. His voice really suits the feel of the music. So this one he's got, and I don't have a lot to say for some of these songs, but I just would point out that his voice is kind of in the middle with this one. He has a little bit of his cleaner voice, and his Black Sunshine, Macho Man voice. It's a groovy song. It's got a good groove, as Bunyans songs tend to do. And this one, the bass is very. People talk about this, and it's such a cliche. And I hate saying stuff like this, but it really is in the pocket. It's just it's like a I don't know, the same bass line through the song, and I'm not disparaging that. It's great, but I'm just saying it's just like a groovy pocket bass, and I would say even the song, a little bit of a funky song, that one. 555, cinco, cinco, cinco. Next one is The Nightman. This one was a little bit more, a little faster, punky, and kind of a distorted vocals. I think this one maybe reminded me a little bit maybe of Butthole Surfers. I can't remember. My notes were not too detailed. The next one, Male Bonding. Now, as far as I know, this is my favorite song. This brings to mind a little bit, let me try to explain this. Have you ever, and I'm sure you have, because I'm not so arrogant to think that I'm the only one, when you hear a song for the first time, or when it's kind of a new song, and you kind of can remember the melody or something about the riff or the vocal or something, but it's not locked in. You're not that familiar with it, so you kind of you have the general idea of it, and you start to kind of sing it in your head or play it in your head or hum it in your head, but you don't exactly know where it goes, so it kind of morphs into something else. Well, Male Bonding, now they did release this years ago, probably 3 years ago. They played a show in Mexico City called Toguisa. It was like a big festival of Mexico City bands, and I went to it. That was cool. They've done a few of those by Toga Records, and they released a live version of that. That was from Sangriento, which is kind of a partner venue of Rabioso, where the show tomorrow is. They released a live version of Male Bonding from that show, and from the I didn't notice it when they've played it before, but in the recording I thought, this reminds me of That Way in Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz. That when I start hearing the Bunyans version, it morphs into, or it did years ago, and it still did when I heard the studio version of it yesterday or today, whenever it was, it morphed into Lenny Kravitz, Are You Gonna Go My Way? Kind of a cool jangly riff. What else did I say about this one? This one has his more clean vocals, not his Black Sunshine, Randy Macho Man Savage lyrics. And this song, I guess, is kind of taking the piss out of Male Bonding, it's called, out of, I guess, how guys are. Not all guys, but some guys when they're together. What are the lyrics? Let's talk about football. Let's talk about cars. Let's talk about big-breasted woman. Let's have some Cuban cigars. I think that's what it goes. And then the another line at the end is let's go cycling. That's when the real fun starts. Woo! And I think there's a do it in there after let's talk about football. Let's talk about cars. Let's talk about big-breasted woman. Let's have some Cuban cigars. Do it. My favorite song, although I'm biased because I've been familiar with this song for a few years now. Next one, number 4, Desolation Angels. This one, I noted it did have the more Iggy Pop spoken word style, the Black Sunshine. And this one also had kind of a similar, not the same groove or pocket groove as 555, but in that same vein. It had a nice, kind of a funky, cool, just really cool groove through that whole song. The next one, this number 5, track 5, this had, there are a couple of great song titles on this album. This is the first one, Flightless, Dumb, and Blind. Don't know what it means. I don't know if it's meant to be flightless, turkeys, dodo birds, I'm not sure. Dumb, blind, I'm not sure, but I really like that song title. It compels me to find out what the fuck they're talking about. What the fuck is flightless, dumb, and blind? And I think it's just and maybe I'm not the best at identifying instruments. I think it's a banjo. I don't think it's acoustic guitar. I think it's a banjo, and I think it's just in this one Jorge is singing kind of a different voice, not his Black Sunshine. Maybe I'll stop doing that. It's not his Iggy Pop Black Sunshine voice, not his clean voice. He's singing in a much higher tone or much register here, this one probably would be like if Jorge was going to do a solo album. I think this song would be on it. Number 6, track 6, Grow Your Muscles. Another one with that what I would call the pocket groove bass. And this one was familiar. I think I must have heard them play this song over the years and the time I've seen them. I don't know if it had a different title. And it has cool backing vocals. Not that I just realized when I sang that, it sounded like Blur. Anyway, but cool backing vocals on that one. 7 is Beefcake. Now this one has, and actually a lot of the songs do. There's no guitar solos per se as such, if you know what I mean, on this album. It's not like and their songs are very, I don't think there are choruses in their songs. Their songs are very loose. So there's through a lot of their songs, including Summerdale, West Summerdale Avenue, which I mentioned earlier, is one of my favorite songs of the last however many years. There's just wailing guitar through the whole thing. It feels like almost from beginning to end. So it's not like verse, chorus, bridge, solo, or solo bridge, then back into another verse or another chorus. But there's just guitar solos wailing through the whole thing. It sounds very improv. So in Beefcake there is that. I think there is in quite a few of these songs. I didn't note that in whatever songs, but for me it's almost feels like almost every song has that. He uses his kind of macho man voice here on Male Bonding, and also this also has that groove, the pocket groove, I'll call it. I'll coin that term. Similar to Summerdale. I thought this groove reminded me of West Summerdale. And when I first heard the song and saw the promo photo for it, they're all dressed. I guess the song is, as I said, taking the piss or mocking. Well, the other one was for Male Bonding. That was more like, I think, taking the piss out of male, the way guys are when they're together, let's talk about football, let's talk about cars, let's talk about big-breasted woman and have some Cuban cigars. This was more, I guess, kind of making, I don't know if it's poking fun at or however you want to say it, at the muscle people, the people that gym freaks, I guess, which reminded me exactly of Cherry Poppin' Daddies, who's one of my favorite bands. I talked about their whole discography maybe 3 years ago. They have a song called Gym Rat, which is on their album called The Bigger Life from 2018 or 2019. Kind of the same idea, not the same lyrics, but the same idea, talking about how, going to the gym is all I care about in life. That's what Beefcake is. And I wrote here just one lyric at the end. He says in his, I guess, Macho Man or Iggy Pop voice, "I'm just talking about lifting weights and getting ripped." I like that. That's how the song ends. And then the album shifts a little bit. The next 2 songs are a little bit different. 8 is Love Song. This is Michelle, as I mentioned. Michelle Dubois plays bass, and she sings a song. She sings another song called Pow Pow when I see them live. I'm not sure if that's a cover or if that's a Bunyans song. I think it's a cover. But she has a very nice high voice. And totally reminded me of going back to the songs morphing when you hear one song and it kind of goes like this, and then next thing you know, it's another song. I think this even more. Proud Mary by CCR. CCR is when you don't have time, when you're in a hurry and you just don't have time, say Creedence Clearwater Revival, say CCR. Proud Mary, everybody knows it. Go listen to Love Song by Bunyans, and you're going to say, yes, that totally brings to mind Proud Mary. Now the next one is called The Road. Now this is Larry on vocals, Larry DeSantis. This one is more, the guitar is fuzzier. It's not that funky groove, and it's a little bit of a fuzzier guitar sound. And it's Larry singing, and I'll tell you again how much I love The Rising Sun. Nice surprise to hear Larry singing a song here, getting his Larry needs the spotlight more. Number 10, Righteous Kill. This was another one, I think if I remember, had lots and lots of just that wailing guitar, I guess is the best way to explain it. That's what I think it is just wailing guitar. It's not guitar solos, it's wailing guitars. This one was a little bit punky, up-tempo, kind of fast. This was back to Jorge on vocals. King of the Castle is next. This one was also another kind of fuzzy, had a fuzzier tone to it, funnier guitar tone. Like Male Bonding has kind of a, I think I mentioned, kind of a jangly, clean guitar sound. This one, King of the Castle, a little bit more fuzzy. And it was I'm the King of the Castle, Notorious Asshole. I like that. Now the next one, I mentioned earlier how they have some great song titles. This is the second of the two great song titles that really make me want to know what the hell they're talking about. It's called What They Did to Bobby. Who is Bobby and what did they do to them? When I listened to it, I didn't glean enough from it to understand, but I love the title. This one I think was very fast. I think this was faster and more punky than the others. This is, I think, the only one that was kind of has a true riff or is riff driven. Again, the Bunyans, unfortunately, are not a metal band, and this is not a metal song, but and all their songs have guitar. But this one, I would say, was a riff driven song. What They Did to Bobby, and also the longest one. I think this one was over 5 minutes. By far the longest song on the album. I don't know if there's anything or too much over 3 minutes. And the last one, 13, is called Out My Window. This is another one similar to, which one did I mention? It was like a Jorge solo song. Let me go back to my stupid notes. Flightless, Dumb and Blind. Out My Window, it's just an acoustic song. It sounds like it would be a Jorge solo song. I think there's some backing vocals towards the back end of the song. And this reminded me of, again, it doesn't sound like it, but it's in the same vein as, and nobody knows this, but you should go listen to a song called Time's an Illusion by DeSantis, Larry DeSantis, who is in the Bunyans. So there you go. So that was Out My Window, a little bit reminiscent of Time's an Illusion by DeSantis. And this was recorded at Pony's Corral, a studio in Mexico City, owned by Pony. And I've been in that studio, and it was really cool. It was cool seeing this studio where they make such great music. And I have a feeling, I don't know if I mentioned, I think this album was recorded some time ago, and I don't know what's taken it so long, but this has been a long time in the making for this album. So that's it for the Bunyans, Beefcake. And if you look at the single, and you can find it on, strangely, one problem I do have is Bunyans. Why don't you have it on your Bandcamp? You have a Bandcamp. Why isn't it there? It took me a long time to find it. I found it on not YouTube Music, but just the actual the OG YouTube machine. It's these topics where it says topic. It's on Spotify and I guess Deezer and all the other ones. But it was harder for me to download. I did download the whole thing. I don't listen to. It took me a long time. I was very uncomfortable making that shift from CDs to digital music, and I'm still uncomfortable making the shift from listening to MP3s that I've downloaded on my phone to Spotify and Deezer and YouTube Music and Apple and things like that. I just don't. So I still download everything. It's much more work, but that's I guess my compromise between the old school of listening to CDs and listening to streaming services is downloading MP3s. So there it is. So I really, really hope I can go to this show tomorrow. I'm not sure. I have to decide. And then also if I go and I mentioned I have to stay overnight in a hotel, that means I can't work on Sundays, so I lose more money. That costs me more. The whole thing costs me a lot of money. So I'm gonna have to check a few things and see how I feel tomorrow. But I hope so. I'm really feeling it. So that's it for the Bunyans, Beefcake. Oh, I was gonna mention in their Bandcamp, if you look at the single Beefcake is on there, which has the greatest artwork ever. It's awesome. It's like a pack of carne molida, of ground beef, and where it would have the price and the whatever. It has some funny information on there. Very, very cool, very original, and that's it. And now this is normally where I would hold up the CD and point to it and say that's the Bunyans Beefcake. So since I don't have the CD, I'll hold my notepad in here. So that's all for the Bunyans Beefcake.